Hi everyone, it's Miss Swanton again. Just doing this video to talk to you about using the grid method. This is how to get your proportions correct if you're drawing from a photograph or a magazine or something, for example. And I'm doing this video on if you want your image the exact size of your printout. So I'll do some different ones if you're doing it at different sizes. So for example, if your portrait, so if this photograph is A4 and I wanted to draw this to an A4 piece of paper, use this method. So first step, print it out. If you need to print it out, it is easier to use normal paper, not on photo paper. If you're printing out on photo paper, you'll need to draw on it with a Sharpie. If you've got normal paper, you can use any colored pen or pencil, whatever shows best. Step two, if it is smaller than an A4 page, then draw a box around it. It's just a little bit easier. Now, next thing, you're going to decide how big your squares are going to be. So how big your grid is going to be. Doesn't really matter too much, but obviously you don't want them absolutely massive, as you won't be able to see as much detail for there. Now, I normally do mine about 2 or 3 centimeters, but it's completely up to you. But think, if your page is 20 centimeters wide, it might be easier to do it 2 centimeters because they all make up 20 in the end and the boxes are going to be completely equal. Don't worry if your page doesn't measure up exactly that and there's one that's a little bit smaller or bigger than the other. So the first thing we're going to do is draw our vertical lines on our photograph. So if I've decided 2 centimeters like I have on this piece here, what I'm going to do is put my ruler at the top left and I'm going to mark out with dots where those lines are going to be. So I'll mark out a dot for 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. I'll then do exactly the same on the bottom side of the photograph. So bottom left and mark out 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. After I've done that, I'm going to use my ruler to match up the dots and then draw downwards, and I'll do that across the entire page. After I've done that, I'm going to do my horizontal lines. This might be exactly the same centimeters as you use for your vertical, so I'm using 2 by 2 for each of them. However, you might want to make those bigger or smaller, so again, absolutely up to you. And the same method, so I'm going to have my ruler on the top left and I'm going to go downwards this time and mark out where 2, 4, 6, etc. are on the left and right hand side, and then use my ruler to match them up and draw the grid. After that, I've got my grid onto my photo. I might even want to write down how big my grid is just so I remember in the future. Next thing, get a piece of paper. Hopefully it'll be exactly the same size as your photograph. If not, either cut it down or draw a box that's exactly the same size as your photograph. Now, the really important part of this is to draw very lightly with your pencil so you can rub it out afterwards. Use either your normal HB pencil, so that's just a normal one you have, or use a B, but just draw really lightly. Don't use like a 6B or something, as you won't be able to rub it out afterwards. Now you're going to do exactly the same as you were doing with your photograph. So draw your vertical lines first at regular spacing. Really important, using the exact same amount of centimeters as you did with your photograph. So draw across those, so 2, 4, 6, etc. at the top, same at the bottom. Use your ruler to match them up and draw your lines really lightly. And exactly the same horizontally. Again, do exactly the same centimeters as you used on your photograph. After you've done your grid, you might want to number your boxes going across and downwards on your grid, not your grid, sorry, your photo, and on your piece of paper to make it a little bit easier. And then you can copy out your outline of your photograph onto your piece of paper. Look, for example, in box 1 and 1, so 1 across, 1 down, look the same on your photograph and see what is in that box. If there is an outline bit, then look at the shape of it and copy it down into that box. After you've done your outline and you're happy with it, rub out your grid lines so that you are able to do your work, and then you can work into your piece. Do that as soon as you got your outline finished though, as it'll be a lot easier. Hope that helped. Talk to you soon. Bye guys.